Hello, welcome to the webinar. We're excited to talk today about reusing information that you've already entered. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you can hear me and see my screen. And I see that no one can see my screen, so just put in questions or a chat, and just let me know if you can see my screen and hear me. I can hear you and see the screen. All right, awesome. Just want to make sure I got that right. Today, we're going to go through reusing information in Knackly is kind of the best way to describe it. I'm going to show you an example of what I mean here. In this case, I've got an estate plan that I've kind of been working on. I've got my client, John Smith. Clearly, I spelled Smith a little bit weird here. And other parties, Harry Jones. When I want to now I want to say, all right, who are the executors going to be? I've got my spouse, my children, my other parties, and I don't want to have to retype this information because I've already entered it once. How do I create a drop-down box that looks like this, where I can basically put in John Smith, Jane Smith, and Harry Jones? So how do I do that? That's what we're going to talk through today. And make sure. Okay. All right. So there might be some questions. Let me just check and see if there's questions to start. Okay. All right. So now let's look at how we're going to do this. So I'm going to go to my training where I can go through and set this up. So I've got a document here. We're just going to keep it simple to start. I created a couple different documents. There we go. So the first one I want to do is I want to create a sample of, I want the child main contact. So if I enter children, who is going to be the main contact of all the children, and do a selection there. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go into my training. I'm going to look at my variables, and I'm going to create a new variable. It is going to be a selection because I want to select one person from a list of people. So I'm going to add a new variable. I'm going to do it as a selection and child main contact. And I'm going to call it child main contact. Click on it, press OK. You may be used to using this. Certainly I could go through and say my oldest child or something like that, but I really want to use some user data. I've got this children list that I've created. So I am actually going to click user data, and I'm going to remove these bars and type children and press save. So now I've got children. I can pull it in. Let's just go back to the Word document. Let's see how we're going to put this in. So because I made a change online, I am going to do a refresh. And if I come down, children main contact, I see a selection. Notice how this now looks exactly like if I went to children. It has the same list of people because I connected the two. So if I want, so I've got my main contact, and I'm going to bigger, and I'm going to put their full name in. So my name, contact, full name, I could certainly do an address, line address, and put that information in. So before I click save, I'm just going to go back, open up I'm just going to create an estate planning so you can see what this looks like. Is this for a married couple? Yes, I'm just going to put some information in here. John Smith, 0 Maine, Idaho Falls, Idaho 83401. I'll just put some simple information. Let's get Jane Smith. I'm gonna close it. Then I'll get her address information. So I've got John and Jane Smith here. I could go through and enter, do you have any children? This is big. I'll add a child, Harry Smith. And Mary Smith. Just get some information in there. So I've got John's, Jane's, and their kids. And I'll click complete, but I don't yet ask for information about this child main contact. So I'm just going to go ahead and click save. And I'm going to go back into it. And I've got John Smith, Jane Smith, Harry, and Mary. And now I can do Harry Smith, and I can select it. So this list is now pulling from the all children because I did because I referenced the children information. So I do Harry Smith. And open it. Child main contact, because I didn't get the address and information, it pulled the address and information in. But if I had entered Harry Smith's address and information, that would also pull it. So that's how I can get one pull from a single list. So I can just reference the variable within a selection, pointing it to children, and then we can go through and point to children. Now, let's say you want to do an executor. This is kind of the next level. So I really want to build a pull from children, other parties, and spouse and client. So I need to create basically a formula, and I'm going to do my best to explain this. So I'm going to do a formula. I already have one here called potential agents. So and a lot of you, when you get it, you'll see an example that we've put in for you. But what you do is take potential agents. Because I want to pull from multiple places, it's not going to be a single type. It's going to be a list so that I can get multiple, and it's going to be a party because party references this object. So I have this object model called party. So I need to make sure that everybody that I'm pulling from this formula is all parties. If they weren't parties, then it would be, you can't do it. So you need to keep them similar. So then I can go through and add client. So if I click into here, all I do is take the variable name client, put that in. Spouse. You will see on this, this is what we call an expression. So it uses a little bit different syntax. So syntax wise, what I'm saying is if this client is married, then I'm going to put in the spouse, otherwise I'm going to put null. You could just as easily, I'm just going to copy this, say spouse, and bring that in. What will happen though is if you don't have a spouse, it will bring a blank space in, which is why we add some of these extra pieces. But this is a way that you can go through and have it kind of control it. So, but from this perspective, so basically, if you look at this, if we put the condition here, this question mark basically means it's basically an if condition. First item after it, if it's true, we're going to put in spouse's name, colon. This is basically, if it's not true, we're going to put null in there. We're not going to put anything in there. So I'm hoping I'm explaining this well enough. But you can keep it simple. Certainly, you'll see on children, it does become a little slightly different when we do children. I could just as easily just put children up here to keep it easy. And if there's no children, it'll have one blank line and bring it in. What I'm doing here is children. If there's children, I'm going to put children. You'll see a little bit different syntax here. You'll see the square brackets, and that's because this is a list. It's just a way to say, hey, this list is empty. We're going to keep it empty. And other parties, same thing. So how do we use this? So I want to create an agent, and I'm going to do 2 examples here. I'm going to do a selection and a list of, and I'm going to do a selection of executors. And again, I am going to now reference my potential agent. So I always like copying. That way I make sure I get it right. And click save. So potential agents. So now if I go back to my document and I want to put a list in order of priority. So I'm going to click a refresh. And if I go down to let me look. That should not be saying potential agents. That should be, oh, it's because it's giving my formula. I'm pulling from the wrong place, excuse me. So I could pull from this potential agents and put that list in, what it's doing there. But I want to do the executors. Sorry for the confusion there. I insert a list without punctuation because I'm going to put them on each line. So I want to put a bullet, I'm going to put a bullet point in here after, and I'm just going to come in and put full name in. Then I'm just going to add a bullet. Okay, so now list, and I can say, yes, I want that. And now I'm going to go back into my John and Jane Smith, and I'll see my executors. So if I do it this way without being an object, the order is going to end up being the order I select them in. So which is why this way isn't as ideal as the next way I'm going to show you. So if I do Mary and then Jane, I select them in that order. I click complete. You know, the risk in doing it this way is, in this case, if I care about the order, then I'd have to train my staff to say, put Mary in, check Mary, then check Jane. So not completely ideal. So I'm going to I'm going to show you a little bit different approach where we use objects and we do selections. So let's just say I've got, so you'll see here, I've created an object called agent, and I've got one called fiduciary. So I've already created this, but I've got this agent, fiduciary, and fiduciary I'm pulling from the potential agent, same as I did before. Certainly, if you want to get fancy, I've got co-agents there, but I'm just going to, for this example, I'm just going to pull from fiduciary. So now I'm just going to reference this agent. So I'm going to come back and I'm just going to call this one executor, and it's going to be a list of objects, and I'm going to point to agent. So I'm going to point to this object, and I'm going to call it just a single executor. Click save, and now it's pointing, because it's pointing to agent. Now, what does it look like on here? I'm just going to do a quick refresh, make sure I've got it. I got it, executor, it's a list. So what I can do is I can put in my list of executors. So I'm going to insert the list without punctuation. I'm going to do the same thing. Now we do take a guest and put that in, but I always delete it because I want to make sure. And then I go under executor. So this is the list. And then I click on fiduciary and I drop down and put the full name in. And I will put a bullet in. And you'll see that I've got executor at my list level, but within my list I have fiduciary, and this is where I'd put my fiduciary. So if I wanted to put co-fiduciaries, I could do a second one as co-fiduciaries. So now let's just see what this looks like. Click estate plan, go back in, and executor. Now I can select the order that I want it to come into because I've now got a box that can control it. So I could do Harry and Mary Smith and get the order being different. Click complete. And you'll see Jane Smith and Mary. So this is how you can reuse information in lists, in drop downs, everything that once we connect the object to it means that we have access to everything, all the information that was previously entered. So this kind of ends the training portion of this Q&A. If there are any questions, we'll go ahead and do that. If the questions are relevant and help, we'll continue the recording on that. Otherwise, the recording will stop here. So please feel free to ask questions now.